Greetings and salutations, YouTubers. This is Zillafan85, and I'm here today. I've got a new video up, and this one, of course, as we approach Halloween, it's currently the weekend right before it, so I just thought this would be very cool to do. I wanted to go over some horror movies that I personally like to watch during Halloween time, and of course, Halloween time, what I'm referring to is throughout the month of October overall. Because to me that constitutes Halloween time. So I thought that I was definitely looking forward to this. I'm not going to cover too much about the movies, just kind of go through them a bit, and and obviously just. Again, these are just my personal preference ones that I really like to watch during this time of year, and usually have a bit of a tradition that I'll watch during this time of the year. So like I said, I just want to go through some of these, and again, this is not going to cover like every horror movie that I'll watch during this time, but these are just some of the ones that for me, my watch lists tend to really highlight. So let's go ahead and jump right into it then with that. So, to start things off, of course, I got the classics here, and that being the Universal classic horror movies. Obviously, the sets that I've got, the legacy sets, the Dracula legacy set, so the Dracula movies, the Frankenstein movies, the Wolfman movies, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon movies. I'm a big fan of these classic horror movies, and I'll usually I'll run through. If not all the ones in the sets, then I'll usually pick out the ones that I really, really like to watch. For sure, when I'm going through it, like I did this year, I watched Dracula, from 1931, then Frankenstein also from 1931, then of course I watched The Wolfman from 1941, and then I watched from there my personal favorite of the classic horror movies, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman from 1943, and then I watched Creature from the Black Lagoon from 1954. So sometimes I'll kind of do it like that, where I'll pick and choose. Those are usually for sure those several that I just mentioned, the staple ones that I'm going to watch every year, those handful. But sometimes I'll expand it and watch more from these sets, or even watch all of them from the sets. You know what I mean? Just depending on how much time I've got, etc., etc. But I really, really love these classic horror movies. To me, they're timeless. I never get tired of watching them, and I'll pretty much continue watching them throughout my life. Like I said, I'm a huge fan. I was really glad to get these collections. I've never really gotten much of a chance to watch the Mummy movies from this era. I really need to try and see if I can maybe get a hold of that set eventually, and try and watch through those as well. Because I do like the Mummy as a character. Like I said, my favorite character from this, from these type of horror creatures would be the Frankenstein monster. He was always my personal favorite ever since I started watching these movies as a young kid. I really loved the Frankenstein movies and the Frankenstein monster in general. Probably next after him, I would have to say, would be the Creature from the Black Lagoon, one that I just always thought was really, really awesome. So, but I'm a big fan of all these. I love the Wolfman as well, and of course Dracula. So, like I said, I didn't want to get into too much of them, but obviously, as you can see, especially with the first three, Bela Lugosi, truly considered the face of Dracula, Boris Karloff, the face of the Frankenstein monster, and of course, Lon Chaney Jr., the face of the Wolfman. But these are fantastic, and like I said, to me, I consider them timeless, and I watch them every year, and pretty much throughout my life will continue to do so. So from there, though, going forward, Yes. Next up, believe it or not, my personal favorite vampire movie of all time. Is, of course, the original Fright Night from 1985. Obviously, starring Chris Sarandon and Roddy McDowall. And this is just an awesome movie all around. It's got some good comedy elements in it, and then it's got some really scary elements in it as well. The makeup practical effects that they did in this was, to me, just absolutely fantastic. And again, as some of you may know, I actually I prefer the practical style effects as opposed to like CGI and this and that. So like I've said previously too in other videos that I do like when they if they're going to use CGI, I like it when they can at least combine it with practical effects to really make it look good. But nonetheless, though, the way that they did it here with the practical effects to me was just awesome. The makeup work was excellent. And like I said, just everything about this movie I really, really love. I love the characters. Obviously, Evil Ed, a big staple with Fright Night, and he was one of my favorite characters for sure. And then of course, though, just with Charlie trying to convince everybody that his next door neighbor, Jerry Dandridge was a vampire and nobody believed him. Even trying to employ the TV, vampire killer Peter Vincent to aid him, but he didn't believe him either. Until he saw something, I should say, that convinced him, and that's when all hell started breaking loose from there. But it's just an awesome movie. Like I said, I love it. I know other people have other vampire movies as their top. This, like I said, this is just my personal preference. This is what I like the best, and it's a tradition. My friend and I always watch this every year, and we just have an awesome time watching it. I do love The Lost Boys as well. I really do like that, but just like I said, for my personal preference, I always lean towards Fright Night. So anyways, continuing forward. Yes, and of course, because I am a very big werewolf movie fan, especially when they're done right, and these two are definitely done right. And of course, I'm talking about An American Werewolf in London and The Howling. And not just the original Howling, I do like a lot of the other Howling movies, the sequels that they made. But obviously, we start with the original, of course, talking about it. Now, as far as An American Werewolf in London goes, to me personally, that's my favorite werewolf movie of all time. I absolutely love it. I love the music in it. I love, again, it has a lot of comedy elements mixed in with horror, and it's really, really awesome. This, to me, has, and what a lot of other people consider as well, arguably the best werewolf transformation scene ever seen in film, and I certainly feel that way. And of course, the character of David, played by David Naughton, just this is a really, really likable person, and just to see him, go through what he goes through throughout the course of the movie, it's really, really, it's just really, really awesome. And like I said, I really, really love this film. And there's just so many things. Again, another movie my friend and I tend to watch a lot, or I'll watch it. You know what I mean? I don't always watch it with him, but we definitely have a really good time watching it because there's just so much that we love about that. And then, of course, The Howling, the original one, would probably be my second favorite werewolf movie of all time. If you had to do a top three, I would say the Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr. would be number 3. But nonetheless, though, The Howling, I love it as well. Not quite on par for me with An American Werewolf in London, but I really do love it. Again, probably the second best transformation scene I've seen in werewolf movies, in The Howling. And again, a lot of scary elements in it. This movie was a little more intense and less comical than An American Werewolf in London. But you do have some humorous elements in it. There's a scene at a gas station. It's kind of a random scene, but I always laugh at it. When just one of the main characters has to fill up on gas because he's trying to get out. To help to help the main character of the movie, and it's just a funny scene. Some guy is filling up gas, and I guess taking his time, so the character gets mad at him, and then the guy says, "Well, not all of us have enough money for a Mazda, pal." So I know it's kind of a random scene, but it's something especially when I'm watching with my friend, we always just start cracking up like crazy watching that. But again though, and it's just got some really really good horror elements in it, a lot of intense scenes in it. And I just really really enjoy it, and they do some different takes on the werewolf genre as well, especially with the fact that the werewolves here can basically transform anytime that they want. So that's really really cool, and the werewolves in this movie, for the most part, I would say, enjoy their power. So they're really not ones to be trifled with, basically. And the sequels are really good. I do love. I know a lot of people say it's not the greatest, but I do personally, and this is one for sure that my friend and I always watch. The Howling 2, Your Sister's Werewolf. That's the one with Christopher Lee and the guy Red Browning, who plays Captain America from the '70s version. That those films. But I personally really really like it. In fact, I was actually just watching with my friend last night, it's a really weird and out there kind of movie. Like, I'm wondering if whoever came up with that was on some drugs or something. But but nonetheless, though, I just really really enjoy it. I enjoy the zaniness of it. I like that they with the whole Stirba, the werewolf queen. It was a very, very interesting element that they took that in. And then, of course, when the setting ends up shifting to Transylvania, and like my friend and I have always said, I think we want to maybe try and make a trip out there sometime. That would be amazing to visit Transylvania. So it's just there's a lot. I know it's a weird and zany movie, and but there's a lot of stuff that I definitely like with it. And then of course some of the other Howling movies that I really like. I really like the Howling 5 Rebirth. That's certainly one of my favorites of the Howling series. Especially with it taking place in the castle and everything, and it's just got a lot of really eerie elements to it, and a lot of, to me, creepy scenes. I will say, that you don't see a whole lot of the werewolf in the movie, but what you do see is definitely worth it, and it makes the scenes to me more intense. A lot of good atmospheric scenes, and to me, as I've always stated, atmosphere is what makes a good horror film. So that's one that I definitely love, and another from the series that I really love is the Howling 6, The Freaks. It takes place at that sort of carnival freak show. It's got that setting, so it's got some kooky elements to it, but I really like it. And of course, it's got a vampire in it as well as a werewolf, so I always like when they do those mashups. So definitely another one that I really love. So anyway, though, continuing on from there. Yes, another werewolf movie that I really love, and this one, of course, is not that well known, but it is none other than Project Metal Beast. Now, this is one that I actually made a separate YouTube video on, if any of you are interested. It's basically like a government experiment to create a super soldier, and they graft metallic skin to a werewolf. So, to me, a very unique concept and unique take on the werewolf genre in general. again, it's a B movie. It's not well known. It was from 1985, or excuse me, 19. It was from 1995. I'm sorry. And by the way, An American Werewolf in London and the original Howling movie were both from 1981. I forgot to mention that previously. I'm sorry about that. Anyways, though, this one though as well, it's actually one of my top favorite werewolf movies of all time. Again, it's not very well known. To me, it still scares the hell out of me to this day. But I originally watched it when I was a little kid, so I had nightmares from it. If you watch it as an adult for the first time, it may not bother you that much, but for me, it always has. So it's just that one movie that really gets to me. But I still love it and still watch it every year. Like I said, it's definitely one of my top favorites. It would probably be, since I kind of mentioned my top 3 werewolf movies, this would probably be 4 on the list. So, so almost top 3, but certainly in the top 5, obviously. Yeah, this is definitely one that I love. Like I said, if any of you are interested to check out the separate video I made just kind of discussing the film a bit, please feel free to do so. So anyways, though, as we continue along from there, all right, so basically from there, what you've got, I do like the Halloween and Friday the 13th movies, and these are ones that I definitely watch every year. I just figured I'd go ahead and, though definitely wanted to give a nod to these. I do love the slasher movies in general. Obviously Halloween, the Halloween series, that's going to be a staple to watch during Halloween time. I love Michael Myers, Jamie Lee Curtis, and the original Halloween film from 1978 to me is far and away the best of the entire series. I do like a bunch of the other movies from the series as well, though. I just love everything about it, obviously, and with the, Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis. Like I said, there's just so much I love there. And then, of course, I do need to mention Friday the 13th because, like I think I've mentioned it in a previous video as well, when I reviewed the NECA Jason figure that I have. The Friday the 13th series is actually my favorite of all the slasher type films. That's just always been the case. I'm a huge Jason fan, so this time of year I'm definitely going to be I definitely always watched a lot of the Friday the 13th movies. So both of these series, the Halloween movies and the Friday the 13th movies, are ones that I always watch during Halloween time. So, like I said, though, I just kind of wanted to go into some of this and just kind of mention some of the movies. There are others, obviously, that I watch during Halloween time, but these are kind of the ones that really stuck out with me. So that obviously I just wanted to mention and just kind of run through them a little bit. But I think, though, that kind of wraps it up for me, though. So with that. So, folks, this does pretty much take us to the end of the video. Like I said, there are many other movies that I watch during Halloween time, but those are kind of some of the ones that are again, just the ones that really stick out to me, the ones that I always make as like a tradition that I watch every year. I'm a huge horror fan, always have been, always will be, and Halloween time, definitely one of my, if not my favorite holiday of the year is Halloween itself, I should say. So anyways, though, that does about conclude the video. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of my videos, please feel free to do so as well. And I do hope you all have a very happy Halloween. Be safe, have fun, and just remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara.